I'm Brittany. This is Chuaning, and welcome to Gaywatch, where we watch and read gay things. Today we continue through volume 7 of what I have been now corrected to is Erha. It's a lovely, lovely volume so far. There's no real tragedy to speak of, and we get to continue through that today on what is being assured to me is a beach episode, and the rereaders, you can see how nervous I am, would never lie to me about that. We're on page 199 for chapter 228, which is called All for Naught. Nothing screams beach episode more. I don't know why we're nervous. We read for a couple of hours. We usually get through about 40 to 50 pages. There are trigger warnings down in the description box for generalized trigger warnings. Right above, an evergreen invite to the Gaywatch public Discord, which is where all the bookish related chats happen, as opposed to the patron exclusive Discord. So hop on over there if you're not over there already. It's fun. It's fun. It's very fun over there. I think fun's a good word. It's very fun over there. I am also now officially trying my best not to get sick, so I thought I'd sit here and read to you guys for 2 hours. My throat is a little... and as a result, I am not, unfortunately, imbibing any lemonade from my friend Mike. Instead, I have lemon tea with some honey in it for the sake of my throat. And that's how we get to do today's stream. We get to raw dog it today. What else? We are giving away, excuse me, it's right over here. We are giving away the first volume of Captive Prince, titled, Captive Prince. If you are in the US or Canada, please leave a comment down below, not in the chat, in an actual comment down below, saying that you would like to be entered to win this. And we are actually going to announce the winner next time. So this coming Tuesday is when we will announce who gets to win this lovely volume. And if you say that you have never read Captive Prince before ever, in that comment, I'll enter your name twice. Because I want to spread the love. Erha fans should be Captive Prince fans, and vice versa. And I did just as much whoring for Erha over during Captive Prince and the Captive Prince streams. Really, I did. I am determined about this. So, we get to read today, guys. I'm terribly excited. Let me end this poll. I asked if we were going to learn who the big bad is today. And everyone seems generally sure that we will, but it's not a complete shutout. So we get to find out who gets bragging rights for this stream. That is, if we're not all, screaming because everything's on fire. Also, and I always forget to say this, please give the stream a like if you enjoy it, if you enjoy being read aloud to in a very flaily, unprofessional way. Please show the stream some love. It really helps out. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. One of these days, I'll learn to actually say things like that without feeling like I'm jumping down anyone's throat. So, I'm terrified. Upon the soul-summoning platform of Rufeng sect, Shuang Lin watched those flickering motes of golden light drift and fall like the paper he'd tossed into the flames that lantern festival night. Reduced instantly to ash, leaving only embers that scalded him across the chasm of time. I wish for Lo Fenghua, Nangong Shu, and Nangong Lu to be friends forever. But Nangong Shu was long gone. The man who stood here today was Shuang Lin, a madman, a demon, someone who'd crawled out of hell to slaughter all these righteous gentlemen. Nangong Shu no longer existed. He was like the willow fuzz of his namesake, Shu, floating alone amidst the vast heavens and the dark earth. Time's passage could crack the ridges of mountains, to say nothing of a tiny wisp of willow fluff. So many years had passed. The willow tree had grown old, its splendor dimmed, and those drifting wisps had roamed so far. What they'd seen wasn't a beautiful world of flowers, but one consumed by blood and hate. Yet for some reason, he'd still passed on everything Lo Fenghua had taught him to Yuan Shi. For some reason, whenever he ran into a truly kind-hearted gentleman, he still restrained himself in compassion. For some reason, he was crying. I've got an idea about maybe what that reason is, but, it's very mysterious. Shu Shuang Lin knelt on the ground and howled his pain. Tears streamed down his gnarled and ruined cheeks. He clutched Lo Fenghua's spiritual core and finally descended into frenzied weeping, each sob as bloody as if he dug it from his throat. Shizun, Lo Fenghua. Had the plan he'd poured all his wits into, all his madness and hatred, all his twisted yearning, and all his life, had it been destroyed just like that? He thought of his resentment after the spiritual mountain competition, the hatred that led him to usurp the sect leader position after his father had given it to Nangong Lu. To this day he remembered his father's lined and bone-pale face, staring at him in disbelief. This position is mine, Shu Shuang Lin had said, hands wrapped around his father's throat. He tightened his grip slowly, expression cold and vicious. A mad glint flashed in his eyes. If father doesn't want Rufeng's sect's decades of work to fall to ruin, the ring must go to me. You've gotten on in years. You can rest now. Sure. He closed his eyes and squeezed until he heard the chilling crack of his father's neck breaking. Shu Shuang Lin slid the Rufeng sect leader ring off his father's finger and pressed it to his lips. It was cold, but no colder than his skin. All I wanted was justice. None of you gave it to me, so I took it for myself. Father, don't hate me in death. He turned to leave. Another scene from his memory. His first night as sect leader. The servants scrubbed the blood and grime from the paving stones. His father was dead, and Nangong Lu and his family were held in the water prison. All those who would stand against him were appropriately dealt with. Everything was over. For a moment, he was at a loss for what to do next. He set up a stove in the courtyard and brewed tea to sip leisurely. He remained alone there, caressing that gleaming ring on his thumb. From today on, he was Rufeng sect's leader. The fate of those who'd plotted against him at the spiritual mountain competition was sealed. They'd be dismembered and killed as soon as he got the chance, but he didn't know what to do with his brother, nor with Lo Fenghua. Night was falling, and the golden sun had dipped into the west. At last, Shu Shuang Lin rose to visit the water prison and see his brother and Shifu. A few attendants trailed behind him on the path. As the last glow of sunlight was swallowed by the darkness, he shuddered. He was suddenly cold and dizzy. Sect leader, what's wrong? Shu Shuang Lin waved away the servant who'd rushed forward to offer a supporting arm. It's nothing. I just thought of something I left undone. I'll head back to the hall alone. You may go. Suppressing pain that was growing stronger by the minute, he put on his veiled hat and strode toward the great hall. But despite his efforts, at some point he could no longer bear it, and ran the rest of the short distance, shoving the door open before slamming it shut behind him. Sect leader, stand guard outside. Don't come in or do anything rash. If anything happens, alert me immediately. After giving the guards his orders, Shu Shuang Lin took a breath and staggered into the depths of the hall. He tore off his hat and looked down at his hand. The skin was cracked and covered in lesions. His first thought was that his father had cursed him, but he quickly dismissed it. The old man had been ill for ages and hadn't the strength to do any magic. How could he possibly pull off a curse like this without him knowing? Then how? It hurt unbearably, like his sinews were snapping, his flesh twisting. He spasmed and shook by the window, knuckles white, as he dug red scratches into his own flesh on the ground. It hurt so much. He couldn't shout or call for healers. His position wasn't secure. As the leader of the coup, he couldn't show the slightest weakness. Within the great hall, Shuang Lin lay panting, moaning, rolling across the floor in shaking fits. In his thrashing, he accidentally yanked down the curtain, covering his body. It shielded him from the moonlight outside. The pain suddenly faded. Bathed in cold sweat, he lay curled beneath the cloth and gasped for breath. After a moment, he thought the pain was over. He pushed the curtain aside and sat up in an attempt to stand. But the touch of moonlight tore his skin and sent pain shooting through his nerves again. Only then did Shuang Lin put the pieces together. He clawed his way to his feet, desperately slamming the window shut as he retreated to the darkest corners of the hall. Slowly, his breathing evened. The pain disappeared, and his dripping wounds healed before his eyes. Growing suspicious, Shuang Lin swathed himself in his hooded cloak, concealing every inch of skin, and ran to the library. After hours of searching, he uncovered a record in his great-grandfather's trunk. Everyone knew the first sect leader of Rufeng had once fought that great fish, the gun. Though he'd managed to defeat the evil beast and imprison it within Golden Drum Tower, he'd fallen victim to the creature's curse. The gun was yin by nature, and linked to the cycles of darkness and the moon. Its curse afflicted all sect leaders of Rufeng with agonizing injury at the barest touch of moonlight. On top of that, every full moon, when yin energy was at its strongest, they'd endure the pain even if they hid in the darkest possible place. This had remained the Rufeng sect's greatest secret for centuries. Generations of sect leaders had buried this knowledge deep, afraid their enemies would take advantage of it. Even their own sons were kept in the dark until the last possible moment. What a joke. He'd done all this for a cursed position. The next day, Shuang Lin went to the water prison. One cell held Nangong Lu and his wife Rongyan, another Lo Fenghua. He first went to his brother's cell. Ashu, what have you done? What have you done? Nangong Lu babbled in agitation at the sight of him, but his limbs had been sealed with a spell and he couldn't move. All he could do was kneel on the ground and weep before his brother. Have you gone mad? Is the position of sect leader worth going to these extremes? Shuang Lin was still wan from his night of torment. I only took what should have been mine, he sneered. Nangong Lu fell silent. You stole my sword forms and blackened my reputation. I was only 20 years old, Nangong Lu. He paused, eyes like ice. I was only 20, but you showed me the bitterness of life. He strode forward, the hems of his robes brushing the ground, and looked down at his brother's face. Nangong Lu, even wastrels like you dream of power and success, so why not someone like me? He spoke each word deliberately. I worked harder than you. I have more talent than you. I am better than you in all respects, save for that silver tongue of yours. He lifted Nangong Lu's chin and pried his mouth open. He stared at that pink and slimy organ. You'd never think something like this could be such a deadly weapon. Let's cut it out. Nangong Lu's eyes went round with terror, but his mouth was held open, and he could not speak. He could only whimper, spittle dribbling down his chin. No? Shuang Lin chuckled. That's fine, too. We were brothers, after all. A quick death still counts as mercy on my end. The instant he let go, Nangong Lu started bawling. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Was it just the spiritual mountain competition? Let me out, and I'll tell the whole world the truth, so you may have justice. Too late. Shuang Lin produced a pristine handkerchief and wiped his hands. Now they'll only think you speak from fear of me." He glanced down indifferently. "The stains you left on me will never wash away." Before Nangong Lu could speak, a woman's knife-sharp voice cut through. "Nangong Shu, you had your grievances, but look what you've done. You've murdered your own father to take the sect leader ring, and now you want to murder your brother, too. Can you really be so ruthless?" We are kind of one important step away from getting Oedipal up in here a little bit, you know? "Ah, it's wrong, Shiji." Shu Shuanglin smiled thinly. "If you hadn't spoken, I would have forgotten you were here." The spell kept Rongyan on her knees as well, but her expression was determined. The tears in her eyes would never be mistaken for vulnerability. "Truly, I was wrong about you back then." "So what?" Shu Shuanglin grinned. "You're the one who gave me that brocade pouch, and you're the one who later married Nangong Lu. You started this, dear sister-in-law. How dare you bring up what was between us back then?" "You're not about to tell me you had no choice, that he forced you, are you?" Wait, am I, are we, are we on the same page about what could potentially be true now? Um, I mean, he's already, listen, the poor man's already dead. We can't, sorry, I just realized the implications. We can't have Nangong Se thinking he basically died for his father when he didn't actually die for his father. We can't be doing that. Do you guys have any lag going? I'll keep... It doesn't say I've dropped any frames. And I'm at the right bitrate. But let me know, and if I have to reboot things up at the halfway point, then I will. Oh, it's only lagging for some people? Okay. Then I'll give it a reboot. You guys won't have to go anywhere, but I'll just give it a reboot during the break. I don't like this possibility. Also, Rongyan being involved? Pouch? Maybe I should just let the book talk to me. Rongyan went pale. She looked as if she might say more, but she only bit her lip and slowly closed her eyes. Tears coursed down her cheeks. When he raised his hand again, it held a knife, gleaming cold in the dark. No, Ashu, we can talk about this. I'll agree to anything. Don't kill me. Please don't kill me." "Do you misunderstand your current position?" Shu Shuanglin polished the blade, that devilish smile still haunting the corners of his mouth. "Nangong Lu, I'm the sect leader now. You're a prisoner. You have no power, yet you're trying to negotiate with me. What do you propose to use as collateral? Your shitty life. I'll be your servant. I can do anything for you. I'll do anything. I'll give you Rongshiji if you want." Nangong said died for this fucking man. Ah, but see, Blue Turnips hits on a possibility. Blue Turnip says, "I like him better as a 5-year-old. And that's kind of low-key why I think he's now mentally 5. Because I think Shu Shuanglin is of the same opinion. Rongyan's eyes snapped open. Nangong Lu, she shouted in fury. Shaking like wind-blown chaff, Nangong Lu ignored his wife. Anything if you spare me, he whimpered at his brother. Please, please spare me. As if. Shu Shuanglin lazily patted his cheek with the knife's handle. Do you think I'd want a tangerine you've already licked? What the fuck is happening? Also, love is correct. He killed his wife for a fucking holy weapon. How is this even surprising? No, true. Handing a wife over, it's like a different crime, but still shouldn't be surprising. But yet here I am anyway. Then Nangong Lu tried his best, but he stuttered to a stop. All that flowed freely were his tears and snot. Finally, he wailed, "Ah, Shu, we said we'd share all our sweets and climb up on the roof together. We've cultivated together. We celebrated the Lantern Festival with Shizun. We learned to play the chin. Have you forgotten?" Shu Shuanglin's expression darkened, but he only curled his lip in response. Lifting the blade, he struck. Ah, wait! The blade stilled inches from Nangong Lu's neck. Even Shu Shuanglin didn't know whether it would have gone all the way without their shouts. But his expression remained unchanged. What now? He asked idly. You two sure have a lot of last words. It's the end of the chapter. Other than what we could reasonably assume, what the fuck could Nangong Lu have said at this point? Unless maybe it's Rongyan being like, hey, Nangong says your son? I'm not entirely sure what that would accomplish, even if it was true. But they're kind of getting desperate? I don't know. It's just a very curious and provocative place to end the chapter. We're on page 207 for chapter 229, which is called Serves me for trying to be dramatic. It's called Stained Forever. That's what the chapter's called. Rongyan didn't look at her husband. She wept, her almond eyes swimming with tears and her back very straight. For the sake of what we had, will you at least let me give birth to the child? Shu Shuanglin glanced downward, eyes sliding over Rongyan's belly. Nothing seemed amiss at first glance, but upon further study, one might notice a slight swell. Rongyan was kneeling, but her face was composed. Please. Shu Shuanglin said nothing. Their father has sinned, undeniably. But Nangong Shu, I beg of you to spare the child. Don't you hate how that could apply to both of them? Shu Shuanglin stared at the woman, finding her words ridiculous. Spare the bastard in her belly, whether a nephew or a niece. What did that unfound lump of flesh have to do with him? In that hateful moment, he recalled the pain he'd felt in the night. Shu Shuanglin paused. Perhaps this was a marvelous development. The sect leader position could either be passed to an heir upon their predecessor's death or be taken by force. One could neither abdicate nor resign. Shu Shuanglin could never give Nangong Lu the position, but in 100 years he could hand it off to Nangong Lu's child, with all the agonies it entailed. Wouldn't that be perfect? the sins of the father borne by the son. How poetic. Like we didn't just watch that happen? A delighted grin spread over his face. Without waiting for his two prisoners to react, he turned and left the prison, cackling. In the end, he killed neither Nangong Lu nor Rongyan. He kept them captive in a small courtyard, planning to name their child his successor via blood oath as soon as they were born. When the time came, wouldn't the world be forced to praise his leniency and forbearance? But that day never came. Upon taking up his position, his many heinous acts stirred too much resentment both within and without the sect. Eventually, hatred drove one of his city lords to release Nangong Lu and Lo Fenghua behind his back. Lo Fenghua had never been apprised of the truth of what had happened at the Spiritual Mountain competition, and still thought Shu Shuang-Lin had committed these atrocities solely to take the position of sect leader. Nangong Lu's clever beguilement only worsened things. By this point, he had lost all faith in his disciple. He joined forces with Nangong Lu to wrest power from Shu Shuang-Lin, ousting him from the position he'd barely had the chance to enjoy. Rufeng's sect was again rocked by a coup. Hundreds were killed or wounded. Amid the raging flames, Lo Fenghua found Shu Shuang-Lin hiding in Moonwhistle Fields. The moon was full that night. Shu Shuang-Lin was in agony, lying within the trees and slicked in blood like a flayed snake. Everywhere on him was the red of open wounds. Lo Fenghua thought he'd been injured in the battle. Even if he believed in his guilt, the sight of his previously beloved disciple in such a wretched state still made his heart twinge. Shu Shuang-Lin looked up, trembling, and showed him a thin smile. "You've come." Lo Fenghua said nothing. "When we fight, you always take his side." "You're the one who went too far this time," said Lo Fenghua. "Did you kill Master Tian Shan?" "Yup." "What about Lin Daozhong?" "He deserved to die." "And what about your father?" Shu Shuang-Lin paused. "He was unjust. He believed I was in the wrong. He brought this upon himself." Lo Fenghua closed his eyes, lashes damp. How have you fallen so far?" Shu Shuang-Lin snickered. "So they can hurt me, but I can't hurt them back? They can stab me, but I can't defend myself? Is this the gentlemanly conduct you preach?" Face crumpling, Lo Fenghua swayed, then approached Shu Shuang-Lin. His tears fell before he could say any more. "What are you crying for? What's there to cry about?" Shu Shuang-Lin raged. "If you want to kill me or torture me, go ahead. Spare me your crocodile tears. To you and to the old man and everyone else, that wastrel will always be more important than me." Shaking his head, Lo Fenghua raised one hand and silently recited a sealing spell. "I've locked away the techniques you learned from me. Nangong Shu, from today forth, you and I are no longer master and disciple." Shu Shuang-Lin felt his heart spasm. The gun's curse set fire to every nerve, but he didn't move, keeping up the pretense of ferocity. "Don't flatter yourself. I've never considered you my Shifu." He lied, like a big gay liar. Lo Fenghua stared at him in silence. Just as it looked as if he'd speak, there rose a clamor from behind. The fighting had spilled into the field, blades gleaming in the firelight. Nangong Lu rushed over. "Shizun!" The sight of Shu Shuang-Lin and Lo Fenghua talking filled him with dread. "Shizun!" he shouted anxiously. "Don't listen to him. He's lying to trick you." Shu Shuang-Lin started laughing. Even now, this brother of his was so adorably naive. He thought Shu Shuang-Lin would cling to Lo Fenghua's robes and explain all the circumstances that led them here. But he wouldn't. To him, life was a game of chess. Once the piece was placed, All the twists and turns and whirling storms behind the move were no longer important. Only the consequences were. A kill was a kill. Blood spilled was blood spilled. He couldn't wash it away, nor did he want to. There was no chance Lo Fenghua would spare him. There was nothing more he needed to say. Bracing himself against a nearby tree, Shu Shuang Lin staggered to his feet. When the moonlight hit his face, the flesh split in a welter of blood. Nan Gonglu and the other cultivators took a step back. Someone exclaimed, "Did Lo Daozhong do this? Mutilating him like this, surely that's a bit much." Shu Shuang Lin grinned, white on bloody red. As he stared at his brother, he realized he couldn't let this master-disciple pair off so easily. He turned to Lo Fenghua. "Send them away. There's something I want to tell you before I die. Only you." I don't think now's quite the time for a big gay love confession, but Shu Shuang Lin, not exactly in his right mind at the moment. So maybe. Hands against the trunks of the pines for support, Shu Shuang Lin hobbled into the darkness of the trees, with Lo Fenghua following behind. The thick branches hid the moon, and Shu Shuang Lin's pained expression eased. The split skin started to heal at once, though his face was still marred by tiny wounds. It was no longer so horrifying to behold. Shu Shuang Lin didn't turn around. Back to Lo Fenghua, he asked, "You really came with me? Aren't you afraid I'll kill you?" "You wouldn't." Shu Shuang Lin said nothing. "If you wanted to kill me or Alu, you'd have done it a year ago." Shu Shuang Lin snapped around, twisting light shining in his eyes. "Ridiculous. You think you know me so well?" Lo Fenghua's eyes widened. "Your wounds. Not so scary now, right?" Shu Shuang Lin started laughing. "What did you think it was? A spell? Ling Chi fruit?" He lifted his hand, showing the shining sect leader's ring sitting loose in his palm. His lips parted as he mockingly said, "This ring is imbued with a spirit. When you and Nangong Lu deposed me, it fell from my thumb. It knows I'm no longer the true leader of Rufeng sect, but there were two masterminds behind the coup. It doesn't know whom to choose." "You took Alu's rightful place. Of course it should go to him." Shu Shuanglin grinned. "That's what I thought, too." He placed the ring in Lo Fenghua's palm, patting his hand with all seriousness. "Take it. Take good care of it. When you leave here, give him this wonderful piece of his heritage. Remember to put it on his finger yourself. He's the real leader of this sect. There's so much happening!" He paused, staring at Lo Fenghua's expression of masked pain, then bent to whisper in his ear, "I'll tell you a secret. Don't be afraid, it's nothing dark. It's just the story of a bygone hero, that's all." Slowly, calmly, he told Lo Fenghua the tale of Nangong Changying's defeat of the gun and the ensuing curse on generations of Rufeng sect's leaders. He soaked each syllable in cruelty, transforming them into fangs that bit deep into Lo Fenghua's flesh. He saw Lo Fenghua pale. He saw those round eyes widen. He pushed Lo Fenghua against a tree and watched him tremble. What a delightful result. This part would be in his head. "Didn't you love him best? All of you, each of you, didn't you all treat this true-born Nangong like a treasure? Now you'll take this poison to him yourself." Shu Shuanglin's smirk widened into a ghoulish smile. He stroked Lo Fenghua's cheek. "Shizun, that's the end of the story. Go on now. He beamed brighter. Go pay your respects to the 6th leader of Rufeng sect, Nengong Lu. Go on ahead. That night, Shuang Lin fled Rufeng sect on his sword, covered in blood. After flying for hours, he landed exhausted in Sichuan, Butterfly Town. There he encountered a little girl sitting in her yard who'd gone white at the sight of his wounds and bloody clothes. She trembled in terror, yet still brought him a full bowl of water from inside the house. As he stared at her, he realized that somehow this little girl resembled his best friend, his dearest teacher, and worst enemy. Her eyes looked so much like Lo Fenghua's. Uh-huh. 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 We've been given a reason to believe, if I recall correctly. But, uh-huh. Yeah. 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 He saw the tangerine tree over the wall laden with fruit. Suddenly he wanted one very badly. But that girl spoke of nothing but stinking principles and how gentlemen should do this or do that. He loathed it. It reminded him of that ridiculous man, Lo Fenghua, who'd once said with complete seriousness, I wish for you two to stay in your golden years all your lives. Use your own talents to be gentlemen forever. A gentleman forever? What a colossal joke. He knocked the tangerines all over the ground and cut the tree down before swaggering off, leaving the girl to sob her eyes out in the yard. But that wasn't enough to satisfy him. He went on a rampage, killing villagers. The more times his knife fell, the further he strayed from the idea of a gentleman, the better he felt. Then he left. He adopted a new identity, intending to live the rest of his life that way, until the day he overheard in a tea shop that Lo Fenghua had usurped the position of Rufeng sect's leader. The customers had been chattering away. Ah, who would have thought? Truly, you never know with some people. Poor Nengong Lu risked his life in a coup all for someone else's gain. He probably hates his shifu, right? Greed blackened that Lo Fenghua's heart. What an asshole. Shuang Lin sat before the greasy table, holding a cup to his mouth. But he didn't drink. He only listened in a daze. His vision was darkening. He felt dizzy. He had never imagined Lo Fenghua might make such a choice. To choose infamy, hatred, the criticism and disdain of it all. To take on the curse himself, enduring pain every full moon until the end of his very life, rather than push the knife into his disciple's heart. He'd made the wrong move after all. It sounds eerily fucking familiar to the bullshit we read on Tuesday, doesn't it? He'd made the wrong move after all. The echo of footsteps drew Shuang Lin from his memories. When he blinked his eyes, a young man's face appeared in his hazy vision. Atop the empty soul-summoning platform, Moran had knelt to look at him. Shuang Lin found this young man's eyes deeply strange. Too much was hidden in that gaze. These weren't the eyes of a youth in his 20s. Nengong Shu, you did all of this to bring him back to life. None of your business. You let Nengong Lu live, and you would have resurrected Lo Fenghua. After this, no one could have breached Mount Jiao. You were planning to live out the rest of your life here, weren't you? None of your business, Shuang Lin snarled. Moran picked up that shattered spiritual core. Light still glimmered within. You changed your appearance and returned to Nangonglu as Shu Shuang Lin, if I can read, then urged him to usurp the position once again. You couldn't bear the thought of Lo Fenghua in pain, night after night without reprieve. What right do you have to assume anything? Shu Shuanglin's eyes were scarlet, flashing with tearful sharpness. You think you understand it all? I don't. I can only guess, said Moran. But judging by your expression, I'm not too far off. Shu Shuanglin bit each word through his teeth. The madness of the young. As you say. Weren't you just as mad when you were 20? Moran watched him quietly. Nangong Shu, you pushed your brother to reclaim the position of sect leader, but you never thought he'd be so ruthless on his second attempt. You never imagined he would kill Lo Fenghua after taking the seat, nipping future problems in the bud. You never thought Lo Fenghua might die. He stared into Shu Shuanglin's face. You were lost. You didn't know what to do. Moran knew better than anyone how that kind of despair felt. He was reading Shu Shuanglin's thoughts, and his own. In your despair, what else could you do? That's the end of the chapter. We're coming up on 4. We're going to go ahead and take the break here. How I will be on page 215, chapter 230, chapter called Young Man, and I'm going to do my best not to chant YMCA. We'll be right back. We shall return. For the second half. How's everyone's stream doing? Are we still lagging? Or are some people still lagging? I am going to be having more tea. We're not lagging anymore? Oh, good. YouTube fixed itself. So, I'll return here in a bit to find out what the fuck. I'll be right back. Whew. And we're back for more fun. Yay. If you're just joining us, we are reading Erha, Volume 7. We're on page 215 for chapter 230, which is called, don't say it like the song, don't say it like the song, it's called Young Man. We are giving away the first volume of Captive Prince. If you would like to enter for that giveaway and you are in the US or Canada, please drop a comment down below, not in the chat, in an actual comment. And if you mention that you've never read Captive Prince before, then I'll enter your entry twice because I'm trying to infect people with Captive Prince at this point. I'm solidly panicking. None of this is good, and it's not done yet. We're not done yet. What would he have done in Shu Shuang Lin's place? Resurrection. He would have brought that man back to life. Moran looked at Shu Shuang Lin, curled in a ball on the ground. You never thought Nangong Lu would be so cold-blooded as to kill Lo Fenghua, he murmured. In your panic, you said Lo Fenghua left the curse on the ring. You goaded Nangong Lu into dragging Lo Fenghua's body into the blood pool, imprisoning him in the 18 hells according to Rufeng sect law. What are you saying? Shui Meng was dazed. If he wanted to resurrect Lo Fenghua, he must have adored him. Why would he send him to the 18 hells? Because a soul cannot reincarnate from within the 18 hells. Mo Run looked at Shu Shuang Lin with pity in his eyes. If Lo Fenghua didn't enter the cycle of reincarnation, you would have time to learn the art of rebirth and bring him back. You'd create your ideal world, a realm of perfect fairness, with you as its god. Just writing down a page number here. Shu Shuang Lin said nothing. After a moment, his half-rotted face smiled. Mo Zongsha, he said, staring into Mo Run's eyes. I've just realized you're a madman, too. His voice dropped to a whisper. Only another madman would understand me. We just got clocked at the Devil's Sacrament, man. Unrestrained laughter bubbled from his throat. The sound was like that of a withered, winged old eagle, still wheeling in vicious circles atop the craggy peaks, never showing the slightest vulnerability until its death. Mo Run closed his eyes, his voice still soft. Nangong Shu, listen. There's someone else who knows rebirth. If you're willing, I'll do all in my power to ask Master Huaizui of Wubei Temple to bring your Shizun back to life. He handed that broken core back to Shu Shuang Lin. But please, tell me. Mo Run clutched at that last thread of hope, the only thing that could save him. His brows knit, and his eyes showed a helplessness the others couldn't see. Tell me who's been helping you. Who taught you this cruel rebirth technique? Who taught you the Zhenlong chess formation? Memory merged with reality. When the smoking ruins of Rufeng sect, within, we're breathing. We're like holding fucking hands right now, but we're breathing. Within the smoking ruins of Rufeng sect, Shu Shuang Lin had died taking a blow for Yuang Shi. In the past life, he hadn't made a clear plan before he died, but everything was different this time. Shu Shuang Lin had laid the trap within Jincheng Lake years and years ago. He had orchestrated the turmoil at Peach Blossom Springs and the heavenly rift at Butterfly Town. When he realized the sacrifice of human lives wasn't enough, he'd swiftly changed tack and sought holy weapons across the land. He'd successfully dragged Lo Fenghua out of hell. Such methods were currently not of his own making. You want to know? Malice gleamed in Shu Shuanglin's eyes. It's true. Someone taught me these tricks. But I'll never tell who. You'd rather be his pawn until death. Pawn? Shu Shuanglin grinned. You're mistaken. He understands me. Understands how I think. He and I are the same. Mo Zongshe, give up. I'll die before I name him. After all your efforts to enter Mount Jiao and force me to the brink, what have you achieved? Yeah, she's doing it again. She's really doing it again. Like, edging. It's the narrative version of edging. We're right there. All I want is that one tiny solid confirmation that can't technically sit in ambiguity. She's gonna kill me. She's gonna kill me. Moran said nothing. This world will be cast into chaos, embroiled in war and death. He'll raise the upper and lower cultivation realms and leave them ash. The righteous and wicked will receive their just rewards, the competent with power and the useless without. Mirth brightened Shu Shuanglin's eyes. What a magnificent sight that will be. What do you mean, righteous and wicked, competent and useless? Shuimeng asked, incensed. Why do you decide who's good and evil, strong or weak? All those people you turned into pawns outside, and Nangong Changying, and glancing surreptitiously at Chu Wanning, he lowered his voice. And Nangong Se. Indignant and aggrieved, Shuimeng continued. Did they ask to be under your control? Did they deserve to die? Everything has its price. Shu Shuanglin flicked a look at him. Shui Gongzhe, you are too young. There was a weariness in his face, as if talking to the high-strung Shuimeng had taxed him unduly. He turned back to Mo Run, voice lazy. You've defeated me. Go ahead and do whatever you want. I still have a Lingqi fruit in my Chankun pouch. If you think torture isn't enough, you can make me eat that too. He sneered. It doesn't matter. You noble gentleman condemned me to death by 1,000 cuts when I was 20. Another round won't hurt. Nobody did that to you, Huang Xiaoyue said, lying through your teeth. How shameless. But Mo Run understood. That death hadn't been one of the body, but of the soul. Nangong Shu had once possessed a kind heart and devoted himself to his studies. He had adhered to his Shizun's teachings and aspired to be a gentleman forever, fighting off evil. That spiritual mountain competition had torn him to shreds. Mo Run closed his eyes. Shu Shuanglin's body was ruined. He wouldn't live much longer. Despite everything he had done, Moran still felt some compassion for him. He so resembled Moran's past self. Lo Fenghua's spiritual core is still here. Why don't you try that rebirth formation again? You might be able to see him once more. Try it again. Shu Shuanglin smiled. He studied the core in his hand, then looked over his flesh, rotting away from spiritual energy overconsumption. I'm about to die, he said languidly. Once I'm dead, fairness will be lost to the world. Why should he come back? He would still have to endure blame and bullying from all your great sects, wouldn't he? Eyes darkening, he crushed that core in his grip. The fragments stabbed into his skin, filling his cupped palms with blood. Moran started. Are you crazy? Shuemeng asked. I love Shuemeng so much. And that's all I'll say about that. No one else understood his actions any better. Some looked on in open-mouthed shock, while others went pale, yet more stared vigilantly at the man-shaped monster crumpled on the ground. Shu Shuang Lin ignored them all. He watched as the last scrap of Lo Fenghua in the world truly disappeared, and began laughing hysterically. Tears streamed down his face as he cackled, shrill and mad. Neither of them would see the other ever again. Neither of them could hate each other. All had returned to ashes and dust. He couldn't have wished for anything better. He slowly rose, staggering toward the holy weapon array as the crowd watched. One of the weapons was a harp. He sat before it and plucked the strings with moldering fingers. The backlash from the Zhenlong chess formation had intensified. Blood ran from every orifice, and licking flames sprang up where his hands touched the harp. They spread over his body until he was engulfed in apocalyptic fire. Yet he played on amid the blaze. He looked almost relieved, almost at ease. Whatever his expression might have been, it swiftly disappeared as his skin shrank, twisted, and dried. Smoke rose to the sky. Shu Shuanglin's leisurely voice came from the conflagration, light and so arrogant, as if crippling pain couldn't touch him nor impending death rattle him. Best are those years we come of age, seeing the world's flowers astride a fast horse. Many of Shu Shuanglin's own generation stood amongst the crowd. At this carefree little tune, they recalled that young man who'd appeared at the spiritual mounting competition. Dressed in blue, his features bright with youth, he walked out from the dark tunnel, walked out from the wastelands of memory, and confidently strode onto the field, holding his trusty sword in hands covered in hard-earned calluses. He was so young and handsome, so lit from within, with a confidence that bordered on haughtiness. As he looked past the sect leaders of the 10 great sects and all those whooping spectators, a brilliant grin broke over his face. This 20-year-old man came to a stop, his proud back straight, and greeted that sunlit field and his shining future with a bow. Nangong Shu of Rufeng sect, here for my first battle. I humbly ask my seniors for instruction. But in the end, he hadn't lived up to the words of Ode to Youth. It was a long time before the flames guttered out, leaving 5 ownerless weapons and the remains of the rebirth array still spiraling in the air. Both Lo Fenghua and Shu Shuang Lin were gone. Shui Jingyong stared in disbelief, eyes wide. Is this, he murmured, the end? Amitabha, karma comes for us all. Master Xuanjing of Wubei Temple closed his eyes and clasped his hands in prayer with a sigh. This old monk wishes for all the world's enmities to dissolve in the ash whence they came. Shuimeng rolled his eyes. This old donkey had barely lifted a finger on the way here, but he was certainly quick to hand out aphorisms now. What should we do next? He asked his dad. Are we just going to head back down? He still has an accomplice out there somewhere. Jiang Shi's voice cut in. Watch out, back up. They turned back to see the rebirth array in the air had shrunk to the size of a palm. It stood frozen a moment, then snapped back open. It was as if a dark wound had opened in the sky, wisps of twisted black energy pouring out. What's going on? Shuimeng cried. Shouldn't the array have fallen apart when Shu Shuang Lin died? We didn't need Shu Shuang Lin to die, did we? By we, I mean whoever the fuck. We didn't need him to die, did we? Didn't I mention something like this? Jiang Shi absently kneaded his fingers, staring at the array. After a moment, he swore, This isn't the corpse demon array, nor is it rebirth. We and Shu Shuang Lin, we've all been taken for fools. What? Shuimeng exclaimed. Not the corpse demon array or rebirth. Then what is it? It doesn't matter, Jiang Shi said, acrid. Our goal is to keep it from taking shape. Other strong cultivators reacted just as swiftly. Within that flickering instant, Chu Wanning was lunging at the center of the array, Tian Wen in hand. Someone else unexpectedly followed close behind. A dark green shadow broke from the crowd, pouncing toward Chu Wanning like a hunting panther. A dagger flashed in their sleeve as they struck right for Chu Wanning's exposed back in an attempt to stop him. Shizin! Shizin! Twin cries came from Shuimeng and Shime, but they were too far away. They couldn't possibly make it in time. They heard the wet sound of a blade sinking into flesh. Shuimeng screwed his eyes shut. When he opened them again, his face was colorless. He looked toward Chu Wanning and froze. That's the end of the chapter! Hang on! Wait. Deliberately said cries came from Shuimeng and Shime. So if it's gonna be anyone in this fucking crowd, it's gonna be Hua Binan. Suspicious ass Hua Binan. Plus, he's obviously the only one who fucking pointed and was like, oh, look, it's this, when it's neither. Also, green robes. Isn't that Hua Binan? Isn't he a green bitch? Jesus. Okay. Page 223. Page 223. Chapter 231. Called Dueling the Sage. This is exactly why I asked if anyone wanted to figure out which chapters I would read on any given stream, instead of me having to just casually flip through pages, seeing chapter titles every now and then. This is exactly why. And Blue and Love are the ones who helped me out with that, just like they did today. Thank you for your service. Jesus. Okay. Everybody calm down. Somehow, Chu Wanning was unscathed. It's fine. This is fine. In that critical second, it was Moran who'd reacted quickly enough to lunge between him and the figure cloaked in dark, billowing green. The dagger sank deep into the flesh of his shoulder, leaving only the hilt with its silver snake pattern protruding. This is fine. This is fine. The cloth around it was swiftly dyed red. Moran grimaced, but cold light shone in his eyes, the predatory expression of a falcon finally sinking its talons into the wily rabbit. Hua Zhongsha. He clamped a hand around Hua Binan's outstretched wrist. The man still gripped the dagger. Bracing himself, Moran pulled the knife out of his shoulder with a squelching sound. Cold sweat beaded his forehead, but he still gritted his teeth and sneered. Trying to stab my Shizun in the back, as if I wasn't around. We're just writing down page numbers. This is fine. This is fine. The night breeze rippled through the gauze once again, hiding the ruin of Hua Binan's face. Mo Zhongsha, how long have you suspected me? Since you were afflicted with snake venom and stayed at the foot of the mountain. Hua Binan smiled thinly. Oh, that couldn't be helped. After all, I was hoping to get rid of so many of you back at the main hall. Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal! All right. Moran clenched his jaw. Then why were you trying to stop Shuang Lin? Why not? Was I supposed to let him discover the rebirth formation he'd so painstakingly constructed was fake? That'd only make a mess of things. Chu Wanning had struck the dead center of the mysterious array, but as Tianwen fell, he realized to his surprise that the formation was too powerful to be easily broken. When he turned to see Moran wounded and Hua Binan behind him, he cried out in alarm. Moran! Don't worry about me, said Moran. Focus on destroying the array. I've got things handled here. He doesn't have to be hot about it. Also, is this the moment where the big bad steps through the array? And we get the... Is this the moment? Is it... Hang on. I realize we're all lightheaded, but hang on. Hang on. I'm fine. It's fine. As I buff the mic. Where the fuck was I? Chu Wanning had no choice. Within the array was a force more malevolent than any he'd encountered, dwarfing even the heavenly rift at Butterfly Town in its power. Pouring all his spiritual energy into Tianwen only kept it from progressing further. There was no way he could destroy it alone. Pouring all his spiritual energy? Are we speaking literally here? We can't be. Right? Surely not. Jiang Shi had also realized what was going on. He stood in disbelief that the strongest sage in the world had been scheming behind his back. Face white, he said at length, Hua Binan, you... Moran was still gripping Hua Binan by the wrist. Hua Binan didn't turn, but he did smile at Jiang Shi's voice. Sect leader, don't be reckless. Guyueya's sect teaches its disciples to always keep one's guard up, a rule I've engraved into memory. That is why I left heart tunneler insects inside quite a few of you on the way here. Everyone paled. After a moment of stunned silence, the crowd burst into murmurs and shouts. Hanlon the Sage had planted insects inside them. They suddenly felt itchy all over. Though no one had experienced any effects, every crevice in their bodies now felt like it could be hiding a lethal tunneler. Well, yeah. Hell, he could be entirely lying just for this exact reason, just to provoke a response. Huabinan, you're crazy. Evil. Some grew so agitated they burst into tears, frantically patting themselves down. Where is it? Did he get me? I didn't even talk to him. Maybe I'm safe. One of the more outspoken cultivators couldn't stay silent. Huabinan, you asshole. No, I like this guy. Stop lying and playing dirty tricks. Many of us here are the best of our sex. You really think you can threaten us? Huabinan waved a hand without the slightest hesitation. And the speaker froze. Eyes bulging, he clutched at his neck and collapsed to the ground, rolling as he screamed. Pus and blood streamed from his nose and eyes, which rolled up into his skull. He spasmed and shook, releasing his bowels in a stinking mess. Within seconds, he fell quiet and lay limp on the ground. His skin shrunk and cracked. From his open mouth, still shaped around a scream, emerged a red insect gorged on human blood. It was shaped like a spider, but had 10 spindly legs on either side. It had happened in the space of a minute. Those still furiously denouncing Huabinan went white and silent. Not bluffing, then. It's small, but it can kill you in an instant. Huabinan's voice was gentle. If you'd prefer to avoid more carnage on the scale of Rufeng Sect's rather precipitous fall, I'd advise you to stay where you are. Don't fuss, don't make noise. Just listen obediently to what I have to say, especially those of you from Guyue. His gaze fell upon Jiangxi, then the group of green-clad medicine sect cultivators clustered behind him. Out of loyalty to our sect, this humble one won't harm any of you. Jiangxi's cheeks were ashen. Huabinan, are you truly so brazen? Oh, not quite. Huabinan seemed to remember something. Sect leader, there's a tunneler in you as well. Those with weaker cultivation will die immediately, but your cultivation is strong. You might hold it off for a week or more. Jiangxi gritted his teeth. Over the past dozen years, Guyue has done you no wrong. Why are you doing this? I have my reasons, of course, but I don't necessarily care to share them. He turned to look at Chu Ning, then at Moran, who was still facing him in confrontation. Finally, he turned back to the crowd. Right. Now, none of you have the means to tell who has an insect on them and who doesn't. But this is a matter of life or death. If you're smart, I'm sure you know which side to take. There was a Gravid? Oh, Gravid. Interesting. I just haven't seen it. It's obviously operating off of, grave, but Gravid I've never seen before. There was a Gravid silence. Then a clear and gentle voice spoke up from the crowd. Tunnelers are drawn to fire, Shime said from where he stood beside Shui Meng. If you trigger an ignition or flame talisman in your hand, look for a bulge beneath your skin. If you see one, you've been implanted. If you don't, you're safe. Hanlon the Sage narrowed his eyes. Shiming Jing, you read my books in secret? A faint flush colored Shime's face. He was unused to being the center of attention and looked somewhat awkward now that everyone's eyes were on him. When Shizun was in seclusion, this one sought instruction from Guyue. I didn't read the sage's books. I discovered these bugs on my own and did a little research. Shameless thief, Hua Banan raged. Brows drawn low, Shui Meng swiftly came to Shime's defense. What's there to be ashamed of when dealing with backstabbers like you? Literally, backstabbers. He lit a talisman as Shime said, and saw nothing beneath his skin. Good! I don't really want to tempt fate, but we can all breathe at least in that respect. Shui Meng does not have one inside of him, unless Shime is leading everyone astray in some kind of double betrayal thing happening that we haven't fathomed yet. Maybe we just don't relax, actually. Maybe I take this back. I never said anything. Ignore me. Grinning, he tugged on Shime's arm. Awesome, all thanks to you. Look, I'm clear. Seeing this, the others followed suit. Cries of, I don't either, or, oh no, there's one in me, echoed over the soul summoning platform. I'm about to sneeze. Not now. Pardon me. Where the heckin' heck? I just sneezed myself right off course. Hua Banan closed his eyes. Once again, the bless yous. You guys are terribly wholesome. Omi's like, bless you, Shime. And that's, I'm never going to get tired of that joke. Hua Banan closed his eyes, then curled a lip. So what if you can figure out who does or doesn't have one? Those of you who've been implanted better listen up. Step forward. Help me take down Chu Waning and Moran, and I won't mistreat you. Or end up like that, said Hua Banan, pointing at the cultivator who'd been sucked dry by the tunneler. The first to bow to his threats was a female cultivator from Gaywatch. She leapt to Hua Banan's side as everyone watched, chin jutting in arrogance. Moran was stunned. The little traitor had the nerve. Sorry, sect leader, she said. I stand with the sage, not just for self-preservation. I've always admired the sage's skill. I joined Gaywatch to learn from him. Never mind the insects. Even if I wasn't cursed, I would gladly serve the sage. Bitch! Damn! Insult to injury? Wow! She shot a glance at Hua Banan. Though he was locked in battle with Moran, there was a smile on his face. It seemed her little speech had satisfied him. She relaxed and addressed her fellow disciples. Senior Sage himself said that he won't harm those of his own sect. The choice is easy. Oh, you stupid bitch. You believe him? You just gonna let witnesses go? She waited, but only 3 more cultivators came to stand with her. The others glared furiously at them. The 3 newcomers made their own speeches. Gaywatch has declined under years of Jiang Zhengmen's leadership. Times change. If it weren't for handling the sage, I would have left a long time ago. The sage is powerful. We'll only follow the strong. Some Gaywatch cultivators couldn't hold their tongues anymore and snarled, Traitors! How dare you! That's right, traitors! No backbone at all. Get the hell out of Gaywatch. She hadn't expected so many people to stand unflinching in the face of the heart tunnelers. For a moment, shame shone on the girl's face, but even with cheeks flushed, she persevered. Say what you like. We've wanted to leave this rotten sect for ages. Go on and shuffle behind Jiangxi like mindless corpses. She turned to stare at her sect leader. I, Ling Biran, sever all ties with Gaywatch and with Jiangxi leveled her with an icy look, face impassive. He cut her off before she could finish. Who even are you? I, I'm Ling Baran. A name I would not remember if you recited it to me 100 times a day, Jiang Shi said. You're no great loss. Oh, Jesus. I mean, like, do you even go here? Oh, you do? Like, oh, man. Oh, oh, she's already been murdered. Despite her embarrassment, she bit her lip and continued. I hadn't expected a sect leader to act this way. Have you never met me? Jingshi scoffed. Guiyue has thousands of disciples. I'm certainly seeing you for the first time. To be honest, if this hadn't happened, someone of your caliber would never even have spoken to me. An icon. An icon. A man. A myth. A legend. A lifestyle. Oh my god. With that, he swept his sleeves, sending a spiral of fragrant smoke into the air as he dove toward Hua Binan. The two traded several near-instantaneous blows. Hua Binan was already facing a difficult opponent in Moran. Now that Jiang Shi was here, it was clear he wasn't their match. As the fight slipped away from him, he commanded the heart tunnelers to activate. All of those cursed immediately felt an unbearable pain gnawing at their skin. Help! Jiang Shi froze as well. But he was the leader of Guiyue. Without missing a beat, he tapped several key acupoints to halt his pain. White-faced, he resumed the fight alongside Moran. Yeah, but that's like... We got a week. There's like a cure for this bopping around, right? Some secret hidden forbidden technique. There's some way to, you know, we have time. I'd say call Hanlon the Sage, but... Hua Binan wasn't stupid. With a crook of his fingers, he commanded the insects in the Guiyue disciples who'd come to his side to fall still and snapped, fight. Those wavering... There's too much happening. Those wavering watched the cultivators who defected to Hua Binan freed from their pain. They rushed toward him, a good half of the crowd falling to their knees and shouting at Hua Binan. Sage, please, undo the curse. We're willing to serve the sage. I can't take it anymore. It hurts too much. Hua Chenbei, please. Hua Binan smiled at Moran, who was fighting fiercely. See, Mo Zongsha? Medicine is the strongest art of all. Bitch. I'd use a stronger word, but I think even though YouTube is pretty lax, they probably wouldn't let me get away with that one. Jiang Shi struck at him with Shui Huang. Medicine is a master of dirty tricks like you fit to speak of it. Jiang Shi's just out here spitting bars. What the hell? He turned to Moran. Help your Shizun with the array. I'll handle this. Hua Binan sneered. Sect leader, I see you're bent on making an enemy of me today. Don't waste my time. Trying to fight me despite the tunneler inside you. Zheng Yichen, Zheng Zhengmen, you must really be tired of living. And you should decide the length of my life? Jiang Shi scoffed. If I don't stop you, you'll ruin the good name of the healing arts entirely. We've already been Jiang Shi fans. However, he has arrived in every single glorious way that he possibly could. Oh my god. The two men most skilled in medicines and poison began trading blows in earnest. Poisonous powders and hallucinatory drugs played between flashes of their blades. Seeing Jiang Shi could hold his own against Hua Binan, Moran turned to help Chu Wanning. Yet before he reached him, a dozen people garbed in tawny yellow came rushing toward him. Huang Shaiyue, Moran spat. These were indeed high-level disciples of Zhang Donghal and Huang Shaiyue. The man himself stood in the wind, with his robes flapping, and stroked his beard. Mozongsha, tunneler insects are no joke. We're entirely at his mercy. This is a matter of life or death, so we must oppose you. My apologies. We get to kill him now! This is ultimately good news. We get to kill him now. Also, plot twist, he didn't just immediately hop over. Huh. It wasn't just him. Strong fighters from the other sects who could no longer endure the pain came charging toward him as well. The soul-summoning platform descended into complete mayhem as the two sides clashed. Conflict sparked within each sect between those who'd been cursed and those who hadn't, those who turned traitor and those who stayed true. The once united crowd faced off against each other in dozens of small battles. Jiang Shi held nothing back against Hua Binan. Jiang Shi seems to never hold back, period. If we've learned anything today, it's that Jiang Shi does not hold back. But as the last line of defense between Chu Wanning and the crowd, Moran was beset on all sides. He fought off wave after wave of Huang Shaiyue's cultivators, while Chu Wanning poured all his spiritual energy into countering that mysterious array. On the other side, Shui Jingyang and the disciples from Xisheng Peak kept the traitors from pressing closer to Chu Wanning and Moran. Shime was running between the cultivators who'd rejected Hua Binan despite being implanted, trying his best to destroy the insects. He knelt and clutched at a young man who was rolling on the ground. The man grabbed Shime's arms and howled. It hurts. Kill me. Please kill me. It hurts too much. I don't want to join him. I don't want to. Kill me. Please. Kill me. Kill me. It'll be over soon. Shime comforted him, bringing fingertips to the inside of the man's wrist. I can't take it anymore. Look at me. Look into my eyes. But the man couldn't hear him. His fingers were crooked into claws, spasming like a fish hauled ashore. I can't take it anymore, he panted. Shime was left to grab his face and turn it by force, prying his eyes open with his fingers as the man thrashed and kicked. His nails left red gashes on Shime's arms and hands. Look at me! Look at me! The man gasped for breath, regaining some focus as he stared teary-eyed at Shime. Lips moving through an incantation, Shime stared deep into his eyes. Suddenly, the man flinched, feeling something rise from his stomach and crawl into his chest, then his neck, then the back of his throat. He flung himself onto his hands and knees. As a wave of nausea broke over him, he threw up a great pool of stinking vomit. Within it lay a twisting red heart tunneler. Shime reduced the insect to dust with the point of a finger. He rose and shouted, "The tunnelers respond to optomancy. The curse can be undone. I can help you." He ran around shouting, "Stop fighting. It can be undone. Stop fighting each other. It can be undone." Don't make me apologize to this boy. Please don't. Don't make me apologize. I mean, you can make me apologize. You can rake me over the coals for the next 4 volumes, and that would be entirely fucking valid. And to be honest, I'm not there yet. He is not absolved. However, since things seem to be currently swinging back in the other direction, it was clear Hua Binan had also heard. He swore, a ferocious light glinting in his eyes. I weeded out all Guyueya's cultivators familiar with optomancy on the way here. I didn't expect shitty little Xisheng Peak to have someone capable of the art. Truly, the blade in his hand screeched against Jiang Shi's Shui Huang, sending sparks flying. A youth to be feared. Withdrawing his blade, he flew backward, bat-like, and leapt toward the surging crowd. No! Zhengshi realized too late what Hua Binan was trying to do. He swiveled to follow, but the tunneler had done its work. His heart seized. He spat up a mouthful of blood, then crashed to his knees, bracing himself on his sword to stay upright. His blood-stained lips parted as he watched Hua Binan's speed toward Shime. He wanted to warn him, but his voice was a murmur. Watch out. Shime was removing the curse for a Tashui Palace cultivator. After heaving out the tunneler, the pain faded. She quickly rose to help Shime. Stop fighting, she yelled. Come here, he can draw out the insects. It's possible. Shui Meng was also trying to stop the fight. He dragged a dozen people over to Shime while shouting, Enough, enough, bear with it. Stop yelling. It'll be over soon, really soon. Who do you think my Shidi is? He's strong, on par with Gueya disciples. He turned to call to Shime, but as he looked up, the words died in his throat. Shime, behind you. That's the end of the chapter. It's the end of the chapter. We're on what? Oh my god. We're on page 233 for chapter 232. It's called Both Eyes Blinded. Shui Meng let out a twisted shriek as he shot toward Shime, but it was too late. Like the king of hell coming to earth or the god of death rising in the sky, Hua Binan swooped from the air and grabbed Shime by the throat. Shime! Shiming Jing! Shui Meng cried out in unison with the elders of Xishang Peak. One by one, the heads of the crowd turned. Hua Binan pulled Shime into the air and gazed down at the seething mass of cultivators, backlit by the brightness of the moon in the sky. Shui Meng, mad with terror, gave chase on Longcheng, but the murderous wasps Hua Binan sent at him kept him at bay. Unable to make any headway, he returned to the ground and crumpled to his knees. Clutching Shime by the neck, Hua Binan caressed his throat. The snake-patterned ring on his hand clicked, and a sharp thorn flicked out, gleaming cold in the dark. Optomancy is an advanced technique, said Hua Binan lightly. Our young friend here is not a disciple of Gueya, yet he managed to master it. He must be quite talented. By now, the rest of those fighting on the ground had noticed what was going on. In the same moment, Shui Jingyang and Mo Run, even Chuan Ning, standing before the array, looked over to find Shime had become Hua Binan's captive. Mo Run's pupils shrank. In his hand, Jian Gui sparked crimson with his rage and flung Huang Xiaoyue and the others away so violently a few unlucky ones were tossed off the platform completely. They plummeted into the sea of clouds. So far, even their screams were swallowed by silence. Hua Binan, let him go, Mo Run roared. Shime's face was bone pale. He looked down at Mo Run, then at Shui Meng, and pressed bloodless lips together. You guys help Shizun, he managed. Don't worry about me. Shime, Mo Run cried in protest. Standing before the array, Chu Wanning had also gone white. His hands shook where they were pressed to the center of the array, the tendons on their backs protruding. His whole heart seemed to hang in his throat. Shime turned, his gaze falling upon him. His eyes were shadowed faintly with grief. Shizun. What a coincidence, Hua Binan smiled again. Have I by chance grabbed one of Chu Zongshe's disciples? Chu Wanning said nothing. No wonder he's so strong at such a young age. Hua Binan was unstinting with his praise. I'm sure his Shizun would be heartbroken to lose such a lovely student. Hua Binan, if you hurt him, I'll see that you pay, cried Chu Wanning. You mean you're not going to leap to his rescue? Hua Binan smiled, turning to Shime. Hear that? Between saving you and sealing the array, he chooses the latter. Now, why would it... Yeah, who's he been talking to? That doesn't narrow down the list of suspects. It could really apply to anyone, but I'm still like, he's clearly been talking to someone. One of the suspects. He's been talking to one of the suspects. Shime closed his eyes. His lips trembled, but he did not speak. Hua Banan laughed. Now I really do feel sorry for our young friend. He picked a Shizun who's more concerned with righteousness than his own disciple's life. Ximing Jing, you're truly pitiable. Wind gusted past them. No one spoke. Shizun, perhaps the impending peril spurred Shime to suddenly say into the silence, his eyes fluttering open, I'm sorry. I know you remember the selfish things I've done. Even now, I'm still not sure if I was right or wrong. I'm not fit to be Shizun's disciple, am I? So many times I wasn't able to choose righteousness over my life. What the fuck does that mean? Shime. Atop the platform, Shui Meng sharply recalled the night Chu Wanning died, when Hua Zui asked them to go down into the underworld to save their teacher. Shime had faltered, hesitating. Moran thought of that bowl of wontons. He remembered when Shime had bowed low in that inn and told him that warm bowl had actually been from Chu Wanning. And Chu Wanning? Chu Wanning thought of Shime's sadness over not receiving a holy weapon at Jincheng Lake. But beyond these, none of them could recall any other moments of weakness. Shime had always been gentle, poised, and obedient. He was like an early winter snowfall, flawlessly pristine, such that the slightest fleck of mud or flicker of plum blossom was trebly eye-catching and conspicuous. Such that the slightest fleck of mud or flicker of plum blossom was trebly eye-catching and conspicuous. His mistakes, his hesitation, his infrequent acts of selfishness or manipulation, each one was vivid and memorable. He was only an ordinary person, after all. He wasn't a stone statue or a silk painting. He, too, had his selfishness. Yet no one had ever understood him. To Shui Meng, Shime was his friend. He thought that this friend should, of course, follow his lead, keep him company, agree with him, and help him. To Moran of the past, Shime had been the object of his affections. He thought that this person should, of course, be obliging, gentle, and flawless. To Chu Wanning, Shime was his disciple. He was good-tempered and easily befriended others. He was possessed of an enviable gentleness and endurance. It was only now that they realized that Shime had always silently played the part of Shui Meng's friend and helper, Moran's first love, and Chu Wanning's least noticeable, most agreeable disciple. The only thing he'd never been was himself. They're gonna make me apologize to this kid for the rest of the series, aren't they? It feels like oh god, fucking Hua Binan scoffed. Are you speaking your last words? Let him go, Hua Binan. Don't hurt him. Sure, said Hua Binan. If all of you stop and wait for death, what need is there to take his life? The array flickered before Chu Wanning's eyes. He'd reached a critical point. Whether it would be sealed away or burst into shape all came down to this. He hadn't yet pulled away, but his hands were shaking. This wasn't like the heavenly rift to the ghost realm, where he didn't have the time to think. Before his eyes, a knife was pressed to his disciple's neck, staying his hand, forcing him into the most painful dilemma. Hua Binan pushed his chin out. How about it? He smiled. If the array forms, you guys can keep fighting, but if this knife goes in, it'll be terribly difficult to bring him back. Think it over, Zongsha. But before Chu Wanning could respond, Shime spoke up. His voice wasn't loud, but it was clear and carrying. I don't actually like Tongulu. Hua Binan looked down at him in silent confusion. Shime wasn't crying. He was smiling as he looked down at his friends and Shizin. I don't like Tongulu, but, young master, you always made me help you eat them when you were little. The art I most wanted to learn was barrier techniques, but Shizin thought I had no talent for it and refused to teach me too much. His eyes fell upon Moran. Alran, actually, I knew what you wanted to say at Butterfly Town on the day of the Heavenly Rift. Moran froze, staring at him blankly. Shime was still smiling, so sweet and gentle. But after Shizun came back, you never finished your thought. At the restaurant, when I saw the look in your eyes when the two of you were eating dinner together, I knew you'd never say it again. Moran didn't know what to say. To be honest, I really envy the young master, and I really envy Shizin, whispered Shime. Please don't find me detestable because of my envy. I've never found you so, Xuemeng shouted, the rims of his eyes red. I didn't know you didn't like Tongulu. I really didn't. Shime! But Hua Binan was already bored. He tightened his grip on Shime's neck, eyes fixed on Chu Wanning, and snapped, I'll count to 3. Step back or I'll kill him. No! Xuemeng turned in a panic and shouted at Chu Wanning, Shizin, step back! That's Shime up there! Stop! 1. The imperceptible shaking of Chu Wanning's hands had become noticeable. He stared at Shime, sharp phoenix eyes meeting gentle peach blossom gaze. Tears filled Chu Wanning's eyes. Did we need art? Did we need art? Did we need art at this moment? Listen, okay? I'm already... you didn't need art. I'm gonna be feeling guilt for the next 10 centuries. I didn't need art lovingly rendered of this moment, okay? Rude! Twisting the knife. 2. Blood sprayed into the air. Xuemeng and Moran's shouts were like a sword piercing the sky. Shime! No need to count. Shime's hands flew up to his eyes, covering them. He hadn't cried this whole time, but now blood seeped between his fingers and streamed down his cheeks. When Hua Binan had counted 2, he'd shoved himself against that icy thorn Hua Binan held before his face. Stunned, Hua Binan loosened his grip. The thorn slanted, and the point that would have slit Shime's throat scraped across his eyes, blinding him. The Yuhong elder has no disciple who bows, nor one who is weak. Shime! Shime! Their cries rent the heavens. Chuaning was stupefied. He'd been holding himself together, but at the sight of his disciple with his eyes ruined, blood sheeting down his face, he lost his focus. In that instant, the array lashed out. A surge of spiritual energy whipped out from the wound in the sky, striking him square in the chest and knocking him away. Chu Wanning spat out a mouthful of blood. Ignoring his injuries, he turned back to mend the crack. But it was too late. I don't even know where my tea went. Laughing in astonishment, Huabinon gripped Shime's lapels and dragged him closer, satisfaction flickering in his eyes. How useful you've turned out to be. Killing you would be a waste. Huabinon, what are you planning? Shouted Shui Meng. Huabinon shot him a cool glance, then looked at the black array that was yawning open. It took so many people to create this array, and now it's finally done. Gentlemen scholars and warrior heroes, this humble one will be activating it for the first time. It's a first trial. Even I don't know what may happen next. With that, he touched down on the soul-summoning platform with Shime in tow. Before he disappeared into the tunnel everyone had poured out of, he left his parting words with the crowd. You all just stay here and have fun. Mount Jiao is a brilliant place to die. Almost simultaneously, a deafening noise shook the sky. The dark array spread in the air like ink on paper, swallowing the heavens until even the moon was blocked behind its oppressive darkness. What's going on? What array is this? Is this the Heavenly Rift? The Heavenly Rift isn't this color. The cultivators who'd been at each other's throats moments before became passengers on the same boat once more, all staring warily up at this ghoulish tear in the sky. And perhaps it couldn't be called a tear anymore. A good half of the sky above the soul-summoning tower had been ripped open. A muted, urgent rumble echoed from its depths. Huang Shaoyui's face was a waxy yellow. Is a monster about to emerge? What's making that noise? Moran was first to get close. He stood before the dark rip in the sky with Jiang Gui in his grip as a flash of lightning split the skies and thunder shook the earth. It's open! There's something inside it. Something's coming. Vengeful ghosts. Seeing Chu Wanning and Moran so close to that dark rift, Shui Meng scrubbed his tears away and launched himself toward his cousin and Shizin, only to be caught by Shui Jingyong and dragged back to safety. Dad! You stay right here. No, I need to go to Shizin and Ge. Shui Jingyong's eyes were hard with a rare sternness. Do you want to die? He said forbiddingly. Don't you know? The rest of the sentence snapped away like a broken branch. Stunned, he fell silent. Shui Meng was crying. Dad, he sobbed. I need to help them. They took Shime. I can't hide behind you and let anyone else get hurt, please. Before Shui Jingyong could answer, storm clouds rolled out from the black smoke and hissing lighting at the center of the array. Yet upon closer inspection, there were no clouds at all, but a group of masked, black-clad cultivators. They swept down on their swords, scattering from the thunderstorm above. Which sect they belonged to, or who they were, no one could guess. The man leading them wore a lavish cloak of gold-stitched black, his face obscured by a terrifying silver mask. He stood in the air with an arm behind his back. Surrounded by billowing gales and gathering clouds, he spoke not a word, yet emanated an unspeakable malevolence. What the hell is this? Shui Jingyong was lost. The less experienced cultivators among them couldn't even muster a question. They stared stupidly at the sky. Were these ghosts? No, there were no ghosts like this. More and more cultivators streaked out from the rift. Their numbers swelled from dozens to hundreds until, filling the sky in a dark cloud, they equaled those on the ground. There were thousands of them. Shui Jingyong shuddered. Bracing himself, he shouted, "Sir, are you a man or a ghost? Why not introduce yourself?" The man looked down at him. His gaze seemed to pause meaningfully on Shui Jingyong's form. "Say something," Shui Meng shouted as well. "Can you not understand what we're saying?" The man didn't waste his breath. He extended one bone-pale hand in a gesture that hung in the air. The downward flick was as brief as his command. Attack. You don't understand. You don't understand. That's the end of the chapter. But you don't understand. Page 243 for chapter 233 is, "This venerable one can change the title if he wants. Take that." I'm gonna be physically fucking sick. I like I'd been guessing for the longest time. But now it's like here? Oh my god. Oh, I'm I'm gonna be I'm gonna be apologizing to Shime for the rest of my days. Oh my god. I don't, what do we, what 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 do we, I I don't even, like, what do we do? What? But it's literally, I've never been fucked up by chapter titles so much in my entire life. This venerable one. It's This venerable one is back. This venerable one is back in the chapter titles. This venerable has returned. I I need to leave. I need to go. I it we're and Shime's been blinded. See, she alluded to Shime getting blinded with the chapter title and the other shit going on. And I was like, she's done that a couple of times. Sure. Why wouldn't you just, like fucking do that? Sure. But then as the chapter was going on, I was like, oh, but it does kind of take the suspense out of it just a little bit, because going off of the chapter title, he's only going to be blinded. So like, where's the, I mean, obviously, Shime being blinded, not a good thing, but like, he's not like going to die. He's not going to get killed. He's just going to get blinded. It's because he blinds himself. Which just so happens to align thematically perfectly with the whole point that has been made about Shime. I have got to go. I am somewhat ironically happy that it's a Thursday and I have until Tuesday. Because boy, is it gonna take me a weekend and some change to come back from this. Welcome to the rest of the fucking series. Now the series has really started. Fuck. I'm leaving. I love you all so much, and I'm gonna go. I've said that like 20 times. I'm in fact leaving. I'll be here on Tuesday at 2:15 to talk with YouTube members and patrons in the book chat about what we read today. And then at 3 for the usual reading stream to keep going. And that's what's happening. I hope you have a great, beautiful weekend. And I'll see you then. Please remember to take care of yourself from here to then and always. And yeah. Fucking bye.